Hello, everyone. Welcome to a live session. Today is September 24th, or is it 25th? The today's topic is going to be about when you have nothing, you have everything to manifest. When you have nothing, you have everything to manifest. And this is a really powerful topic that I think most of us, we all need to understand in a more profound and deeper way about we have times when we feel like we have nothing or we're at rock bottom, that is actually the time that we are most powerful, that we have the potential to be the most powerful, to be most creative, to be most resourceful, and to manifest everything. And so it's that extreme of not having anything is where you can begin to have and manifest. So this is a really powerful and really important topic on another manifestational tool. So that is the topic for today. And thank you so much for joining me live on this topic, because I know that a lot of us and a lot of you are going through real hardships, mental, emotional, physical, or even maybe perhaps financial and things like that, that a lot of people are feeling the challenges and struggles and hardships of life. And there's a lot of mental and emotional stress that is happening on this planet and with many of us. So I really want to show you how you can empower yourself to really empower yourself in these states where you feel like you have nothing, where you feel like you are rock bottom, and tell you why it is and why it is universal forces that give you that power during these times when you feel like you have nothing. Okay. So please feel free to ask me any questions during the live session. Happy to answer any of those questions. And and it doesn't even have to be a question necessarily on this topic. It could be question on other topics. So let's clear the energy of the room and then let's get started. Hi, Miracles 888. Oh, I'm glad you were able to catch me live. Hi, Tamika. How are you? Nice to see you. Okay, let's clear the energy of the room and then we'll get started with this topic on when you have nothing, you have everything to manifest. Dear God, angel, spirit guides, and masters, divine creator, thank you so much for allowing us to open this sacred space on the topic of when you have nothing, you have everything to manifest. We're so deeply grateful for this sacred space and this opportunity to engage with each other and engage with these wonderful and beautiful souls. Thank you so much for bringing us all of the messages, these higher messages and wisdoms to empower each and every one of us so that we can truly be on our soul's path and manifest that soul's path and that soul's journey, and allow each and every one of these beautiful souls to express their unique gifts and talents in the way that only they can do it and only the way that you have created them to do it. So thank you so much also for removing any low frequency energies in this room, in this space, that do not serve the highest and best interest of all of us here in this space. And we ask you for lots of peace and blessings for the planet. And for those who are lost and feeling stressed, depressed, anxiety ridden, to guide them and put a light around them and give them a beautiful hug with your spiritual love. Thank you so much for allowing this session to go off without a hitch, that this session will be one of peace, serenity, and flow, and so it is. Hi, Tamika. So glad to see you. Hi, Fadwa. Hi, Miracles 888. Okay, so let's get into this topic of when you have nothing, you actually have everything to manifest. When you have nothing, you actually have everything to manifest. And so what is this about? It's really about, so many of us go through times when we've had nothing. I remember when I first arrived on the West Coast, I could I could barely even buy a cup of coffee, really. The all of my money went to paying my rent and buying some food. So I couldn't even afford a cup of coffee. So, but I realized that that was the greatest time when I was actually able to manifest more things and manifest a more prosperous and abundant life. And so when you're going through the times, for those of you who are going through that, hi Najera, for those of you who are going through these times when you feel like you have nothing, you have no money, you have no friends, you have no relationship, you have, you're depressed, you're anxiety, you're stressed, like you're just you're sort of at the rock bottom. That is your greatest opportunity to manifest. And why is this? Why is this? Because when you are in that space of that, when you feel you have nothing, that material nothing, you don't have the relationships, you don't have the money, right? You don't necessarily, that is when is a great opportunity to say, wow, I am clearing myself. I have cleaned myself energetically. I am attached to nothing. I'm attached to no one. I am energetically freed up all of that space. So think of your energy space as like a cup like this. And so when you have so much, like you have all these relationships, you have all this money, you have all these material things, your cup is kind of full, right? Now think about it. If you have none of those stuff, that cup is empty, which means that you have the space to put things in as you desire. You have that space. So you need to create that energetic space. The laws of the universe is that for things to come in, for better things to come in, you need to make that energetic space. If that energetic space is crowded, then better things cannot come in or things cannot come in, right? That's the laws of the universe. And that's really the laws of energy. That's why when you have relationships, like if you want to meet better people, you have to remove some people that no longer serve your highest and best good. As soon as you remove them, then new people can come in. So if you're in this space where you have nothing, you have no relationship, you don't have a career, that is actually a wonderful time because that means you don't have that energetic burden. You don't have that energetic baggage. You don't have any of that stuff, which means that you can let things come in, better opportunities, better people, better situations. And that is the key to manifesting is that you have to be able to become a magnet and to be able to receive cooperative components for that manifestation. But if you're all clogged up energetically because you got this, you got that, then there's no more room to come in, no more room. And that's a blockage right there. And so I understand that it's very difficult to see how you could feel abundant and prosperous when you don't have anything or you're at rock bottom, right? That's a hard thing to see, right? That's a hard thing to see. It's like, Moon, I really don't have any money, and you're telling me that this is my greatest time to manifest. How is this my greatest time to manifest when I don't have money? I want to start a business, but it requires capital, but I have no money in the bank. So how can you say that I can manifest this when my reality shows that I have virtually no money in the bank and therefore I'm not going to be able to do this? Well, so that thinking, that way of thinking that you are powerless because you don't have certain things, you don't have certain material things in your life, whereas money or relationship, whatever, that is an impediment to seizing the opportunity of when you have nothing. That is an impediment because you're blocking, even though you have nothing, you're still blocking your energetic flow of those cooperative components to be able to flow into you. That's what you're looking for. And so somebody who doesn't, there are lots of people who are multimillionaires who have very successful lives and they started with nothing. They were like, I was working at McDonald's for $5 an hour and now I'm a multimillionaire. Obviously, that person doesn't have any money and they didn't come from money. So how did that person be able to get to become a multimillionaire? How does that person do that? And you see a lot of stories like that. That story is very, very common for people who have a lot of money, is that they had nothing and they came from a family that had nothing. And so what it is this is Once you recognize that nothingness is actually your power because you have all of this energetic space for things to come in, that's when things start to come in. That's when you start to leverage that power because you have nothing. You're not attached to anything. You're not attached to a certain relationships, people, money. All of that is an energetic burden. So there's nothing that you've attached yourself. So now you've got all of this space to create and bring in and attract and become a magnet to those cooperative components. You're become a magnet. You're like, oh my God, I have all of this cup to fill because it's not filled with water or coffee. I have this empty cup now to play with, this empty vessel to play with, and bring in and attract those cooperative components. And so it's a shift in the meaning. It's a shift in perspective. It's a complete shift in seeing that when there is nothing, that is your greatest opportunity to create everything. That is your greatest resource to create everything. That is a mental, emotional shift that we have to start to make. And once you start to make that shift, like, ooh, wow, I have an incredible opportunity to create. And I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know exactly how it's going to happen. But I don't need to know that. I know that the universal forces are going to bring me, are going, because I'm a magnet, I'm a recipient. So, for example, in that, going back to that example of like you say, oh, Moon, I want to start this business, but I have no capital. How do I do this? I want to start this business, but I have nothing to start this business with. I have no money in the bank. I need some money. Well, once you start to shift, make that shift, say, you know what? I have nothing, but I have everything because the universal forces will connect me to the right cooperative components as I'm going through life. So it could be like you could be at the coffee shop, you could be, on the line at a coffee shop, and all of a sudden you have somebody behind you or in front of you, and you strike up a conversation, happens to be somebody who turns out to become your business partner, right? That's how it works, and that's how you get started. That business partner brings in some capital, is able to bring the capital that you need. That's how it works. So you not having those material things has nothing to do with your ability to manifest. Your ability to manifest is an energetic frequency that you're putting out there that matches what you need. So if you need like a capital, then the universe will bring you an opportunity for that capital to be shown to you. So think about it. That empty vessel of having nothing is creating this open energy where you could attract new people, new opportunities that you never imagined before. That's where your power comes, is having that empty vessel for things to flow in. Because if you don't have that empty vessel and there's too many things, you can't bring in those things. It's harder to bring in those things. And so out of nothing, you create everything. Out of nothing, you create everything. And so the secret here is really, it's to shift the perspective, it's to shift the meaning behind that nothingness. And there's beautiful, beautiful philosophers, even in Buddhism, they talk about how everything comes out of nothing. That everything and nothing are really synonymous because one is a precursor to the other. It's really the yin and yang energy. It's like this dance of back and forth. It's the dance of this back and forth that you need nothing to have everything. You have everything to have nothing. Because when you have everything, right, then that is when you can lose everything, right? You have a lot to lose. And I have seen people who have lots of things and they've lost everything. You see that. I've seen it, I've witnessed it. They had everything and they have nothing. This is the reason why I'm extremely humble because I know that everything could be ripped away in 1 second like that. It could all be taken away. The rug can be pulled under you like that. So for me, I don't take anything for granted because I know that. But I said, okay, universe, I trust in the process. I trust in the way things go and that they should go in certain ways. And I pivot, I change, and I keep myself energetically in a space where I said, you know what? Everything's working out for me. Everything's working out for me. So let's take a little break here and let's see if there's any questions about this topic because this is a really, really important topic that I think we have to start to master this technique, this state of being that when we have nothing, we actually have everything. Hi, Tamika. Let's see. This topic is on time because it feels like I'm slowly losing the little I have. I'm so happy that this topic is is pertinent to you now. I always say the universal forces always brings you messages and guidance for what you need at the moment. And so you're saying you're slowly losing the little that you have. And so think of that as a cleansing. So when you're losing things, think of it as an energetic cleansing, that it's not for my highest and best good. That's why it needs to be cleansed. So in order for you to bring in better things, you've got to make that energetic cleanse. You've got to clean out if you want to bring in better things in the garage, right? Look at your life as a garage. If you have all these old things in the garage and you want to bring, let's say, a better fitness equipment, better bicycle, better car, you've got to clean out that stuff from the garage, right? So you got to clean out all the old stuff from the garage to bring in the new stuff, the better stuff. So think of it this way as I am losing this little that I have, but it's an energetic cleansing. It's an energetic cleansing. See the loss as an energetic cleansing. It's a cleansing. It's taking out the garbage. So I can start with a clean slate. Very clean slate that I could start with a clean slate. And that's what you want. You want to have a clean slate. So you're coming to a point where there is nothing to have this beautiful, pure space, a good space, so that you could bring in better people, better opportunities. So that's how I would say that, Tamika. How can you say it in your mind? How can you keep saying that? You know what? I'm glad that I'm losing this because I'm cleansing and I'm making energetic space. So thank you for pointing that out in your life and sharing that with us, Tamika. Deeply appreciate it. Where can I find those manifest video on your channel? You know what I would do? There's so many. If you go, there's so many things. If you let me here's go to my website and you'll find the longer videos, all the longer videos and all the longer meditations for manifesting here. My website does not have any of the short videos, but it has all of the live, it has all of the meditation, it has all the longer formatted videos on how to manifest. So use my website, Kenneth. That would be a better resource for you. Najira, such an insightful and beautiful topic that I can relate to. I'm glad you're able to relate to it. I'm glad it's helping you. Fadwa says, when you have nothing, you are free from any fear of loss or negative energy. This empty space attracts all the success. Absolutely. Absolutely, Fadwa. Beautiful, beautiful wisdom. Because you have nothing to lose at that point. There is no attachment to anything. It's when you have things, right? That, oh my God, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose this money. I'm going to lose this house. I'm going to lose this friendship, right? But when you don't have those, you're just free. You're mentally, emotionally free. And that freedom is powerful to create and to build, to innovate, to bring in new things, new people, new opportunities. It's like you're starting with a clean slate. You're not fearful of losing anything, right? Think about how powerful that state is of saying, you know what? I don't have I have nothing to lose here. I have nothing to lose. I could use my creativity. I could be resourceful. I could do so many things. Wow, I could move into different directions. I have nothing that's tied to me. nothing that I'm attached to. And so in Buddhism, they always say attachment is what creates the suffering, right? It creates the suffering, the pain, the stress, right? So that's why when you have nothing, it is the most powerful thing that there ever is. Hello, Maria Jose Silva. Nice to see you. Kenneth Martin said, it reminds me of Bruce Lee's philosophy about water. Be the better version of yourself, then will better career opportunities arrive. Absolutely. Absolutely. All change is inside out. All change is inside out. It's not outside. And as we make internal change, because the world that we live in, this time space reality, what we call life experiences, is really a reflection of our inner world. That's a hologram of our inner world. And so that's why all changes inside out. And I think this is where I think a lot of people don't understand. It's just a lack of understanding that change is really inside out. It's not outside in. It's always inside out, which is the reason why the Buddha always says, don't worry about other people. Change your own mind and you will change the world. Change your own mind and you will change your own world. And you will change the world. Najera says, I lost almost everything 2 to 3 years ago before I experienced spiritual awakening. Wow. And you know what? That there was a good reason, Najera, why you needed to go through that experience. Because if it wasn't for that experience, you wouldn't look to spirituality. We look to spirituality during our darkest moments. That's how I connected with my spirituality over 30 years ago because of the darkest moments in my life. And so it's during those moments of greatest challenges that we become spiritual, and that spirituality becomes our anchor. It becomes the foundation for everything that we do in our life. Without that, there is no anchor, there is no foundation. And when we do not have that anchor or foundation, we have nothing. We have nothing because life will bring us all kinds of things, ups and downs, ebbs and flows. So how do we handle and respond and manage to those ups and downs, ebbs and flow? It's because we're anchored to our spirituality. That's the reason why we're able to move through life, handle well, be constructive, right? And that's the reason why the spirituality is I always say it's the most important. It's the foundation for our lives. It's the foundation, absolute foundation. Without it, we have nothing. Because the essence of us is a spiritual being. We're not a physical. Our physical being is a secondary state of being. Our spiritual being is the primary eternal state of being. That is our absolute truth. And that is why when we don't connect to that absolute truth and we're trying to move through this physical time space reality called life and all kinds of things happen to us, we can't handle it. We fall apart because we're not able to move through it. We're not able to, it's so hard to move forward because we have no anchor. We need that anchor, that foundation. Okay. Tamika says, I love that perspective and I will definitely adapt that thought process. It's just scary once you've become somewhat comfortable but still not fulfilled. Absolutely. I agree, Tamika. I totally understand. And you were so smart and brave to come to this live session because this speaks to what you're going through. And it's a practice, it's a habit forming, right? We have a habit as humans that we learn from society, and it's not even really society's fault because our parents learned it, the friends around us learned it, colleagues learned it, that things when things are being let go, or we connotate that, we give it a meaning of that it's not good, right? When things leave us, when tragedies happen, when things where we lose things, we lose money, we make that association a negative association. We always default to a negative association that this is not good. Not having things is not good. Not having money is not good. Not having relationships is not good, right? So we're basically programmed to believe that. And so that programming automatically, when you start to lose things, right? You're always going to make that association because that's how we're raised. We're all programmed that way. Our parents are programmed that way. Our relatives are programmed that way. Our friends are programmed. Society's programmed that way. So not naturally we would be programmed that way, right? So what you're feeling, Tamika, is so understandable. Absolutely understandable. And you were so brave to come to this live session to learn to hear this message because this message is very pertinent to what's going on in your life right now. To say, look at things, look at this situation in a different light, in a different angle, that you're actually making an energetic cleanse to start to really create and be innovative and connect with those better relationships, better opportunities. And so, Tamika, this is an incredible, I'm glad that you're so here, that this message is really connecting with you right now. And so I always feel so fulfilled when I can help somebody in just even in one way of their life. It's like the most fulfilling thing for me is that I have given you a message that's helping you right now with this situation that you're going through. And that is so fulfilling. So thank you for sharing your story. You're welcome, Kenneth. Margaret, how are you, Margaret Stinson? Resonates with so many of us. How do we deal with trauma of losing everything? Feels like so many times it's got to the point where I get into survival mode, but also don't want to be homeless. That's a great question, Margaret. What a beautiful question. Thank you so much. You know, when you're like losing everything, you are going through trauma. I acknowledge that 1,000%. It's scary. There's fear. You're like, oh my God, how am I going to pay? How am I going to have a place to live? How am I going to eat? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? What are you saying to me, Moon? I've got to pay a rent. I've got to live. I've got to have food. There's practical things that I need to, to have in my life so that I feel somewhat safe. I feel somewhat secure. I feel somewhat this. I feel somewhat that. So it's like kind of saying, Moon, you're asking me to feel something that is almost impossible to feel, right? That I am free. I am free to do anything, right? Okay, that's not what I'm saying because there is trauma here. There's trauma. No doubt there's trauma. And so what it is this is that with that trauma, let's say you lose your job and you're like, oh my God, I just lost my job. I just lost my partner. And you feel like, oh my God, I'm just losing everything. And so, what I'm saying to you is during the times when you're going through that trauma, that's a process that you want to go through. You want to go through those feelings. You want to acknowledge it. You want to say, okay, there's a good reason why I'm feeling this trauma and I'm feeling the fear. And I'm going to acknowledge that. I'm going to acknowledge it. I'm not going to put it under the rug and say, oh my God, I'm so happy. I'm so glad that I'm losing everything. That's just being fake. It's being inauthentic. You want to say, okay, you know what? I'm gonna I'm gonna acknowledge this emotion and I'm gonna process this emotion. I'm going to acknowledge it. So one of the things that I would do and I do during those times is I do a meditation. I talk to my inner child because the inner child is feeling that trauma, that fear, that stress, right? And I say to my inner child, inner child, I love you. I love you. I acknowledge your trauma. I acknowledge your trauma. I acknowledge it. I love you. And then I go into a real space of, no, you know what? Uh, Inner child, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. God is here for you. The unconditional love of God, the angels, spirit is here for you. And I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know exactly how, but my faith is getting stronger that you will show me you will show me that during as this trauma, I will allow this trauma to happen. I will allow this trauma to process through me, and I have a right to have this trauma at this moment. I'm not trying to push it away. There's a time and place for this trauma, and I acknowledge you. I acknowledge you. I acknowledge you, trauma, and I love you. I love you. I love you. Excuse me. So what you're doing is this is you're giving a hug around that trauma. The trauma needs love. The trauma needs acknowledgement. The trauma needs healing. The trauma needs compassion. So see that trauma as your inner child and give it a hug. Give it a hug. Say, I hug you. I love you so much. It's going to be okay. Today we know that I've lost my job, but somehow I know that we're going to get through this because God, the universe, the spirit team is here for us. And so you give it a hug. You allow that trauma to happen as it should. And maybe it's going to take a little time. You know, sometimes it's not, maybe it's not going to take one day. Maybe you need a week. Maybe you need 2 weeks. You know, maybe you need a certain period of time for that trauma to process. And every day I would work on that trauma and I would give it a big hug and I would say, we're here for you. We love you. It's going to be okay. Things are going to work out. We don't know exactly how it's going to work out, but it's going to work out. And then you make your faith stronger. Say, God, universe, spirit, I know you're watching for me and I know you're going to bring me the cooperative components for a better job, for a better relationship, for better this, better that. I don't know exactly. And so recently I had to let go of something very big for my AI company for traditional Chinese medicine. And I said to God, God, I'm going to let this go. I'm going to let it go. But I know that you're going to bring me something better. I'm going to let it go. But I know that as soon as I let it go, and sure enough, that week that I let it go, something came in. It was amazing. Because again, you're making that energetic space. And I said, you know what? I'm willing to let this go. It's hard. And I try to make it work. We try to make it work for 5 months. We try to make it work 5 months. And there was a part of me that felt like I lost the 5 months. But, you know, again, I had to trust in the divine time. I said, there's a reason why we went through this for 5 months and it didn't work out. There's divine timing here. So I had to put trust in that. And then when I had to leave it, finally, I just had to leave it. There was no energetic space for it anymore. I said, okay, I'm willing to let it go. And then something came in. It's amazing. Okay. So, Tamika, it's about training yourself and speaking to really actively engaging your inner child. You're welcome to me. You're welcome, Kenneth. Margaret Stinson says resonates with so many of us. How do we deal with? Okay. Oh, right. Okay. So, Margaret, I hope I answered this question for you. I hope that I answered that question. How do you deal with the trauma, right? And you'll see it'll get better and better. You want to practice it. You're welcome, Tamika. Hi, Marie, Miracle V. Oh, I love that. Miracle V. I love that. Hello, Moon. Finally, I can tune in from live from Hong Kong. Oh, welcome. I'm so glad that you're joining us from Hong Kong. What a beautiful place. And Niger says, after we have gained everything, what do we do to avoid losing it? I never want to hit rock bottom ever again. Okay. So your fear of losing it is actually one of the energetic blocks. That fear of losing it. The fear of losing it is an attachment that you're creating. And that attachment is creating fear, anxiety, and stress. And that's not good. That's not good. What it is this, you want to get yourself in a place where you say, you know what? I'm building this beautiful thing. But I know that if there's something else that I should be doing or I should let this go, I will let it go, knowing that something even better is going to come in. See, your journey is not a destination, it's only a journey, which means that when you have accomplished something physical, like, oh, I just accomplished having $1 million in my bank account. Now I've accomplished it. So it's never over because you're a soul, eternal soul of eternal expansion. So it's only a journey. So you're always creating, 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 creating. The creating never stops. It's because that's how you grow and expand eternally. And so every time you say, oh my God, I have this now, I don't want to lose it. That in itself is a blocked energy. You're creating, because you're creating fear, you're creating anxiety, you're creating stress. The way to handle it says, okay, I have this now, but this may not be forever. I'm okay with it because I have something else in my soul's path and journey to do, something better, something bigger, something even more magnificent, more fabulous. And so I could let this go. So everything that I do now, I said, you know what? I'm willing to let it go. God, if you want me to let this go, I'll let it go. You want, that's it, like I said, the thing that we were working on for 5 months. Let it go. I wasn't fearing that yeah, there was a part where we were trying to make it work and we're trying to make it work really badly. But I said, look, I'm going to let it go. So you have to be able to train yourself to be able to constantly create and expand and move. So what you think you have now, oh, I have $1 million in the universal, in terms of your soul's expansion, it doesn't mean anything. It means that wow, your soul has reached to a point where you were able to manifest that. But that's nothing. Your manifestation ability is infinite. It's forever. So as you're not getting so stressed about that, like I've got to hold on to this, you said let it go. Say, okay, now if you want me to do that, something else now, I will do it. You want me to let this go? I will let it go. That's the attitude, because you are an eternal being. When you really can feel that and practice that in your life, you'll see how powerful you become. That you're not worrying too much about losing this, losing that. You're not worrying. Does that mean that you're not gonna do smart things to protect, like that's why we have insurance. We have the car insurance, we have whatever the insurances that we have, because we do take steps to protect ourselves, because we want to be rational, we want to be practical. But beyond that, beyond the things that you've done to protect, you don't want to obsess about it. The mental, emotional obsessing is where you're going to start to create blocks. You're going to take practical steps to protect, but beyond what you've done, beyond the actions that you've taken that are rational, that are good, if you start to obsess about it, that's when you can create a lot of problems internally. You're going to create stress, you're going to feel anxiety. So you have to say, okay, if this is not meant for me, you will let me know at a certain time. It means that I need to switch, pivot, change, because I am an eternal being of eternal expansion. Okay, Najera, that's a really good question. Thank you. um, Hi, Fadwa. Trauma need time to healing. Complete submission will cure it. Yes, healing is important, and that time cycle to heal is important. Hi, Miracles 888. I get some inspiration from your letting go of your AI project. Greatly appreciate. Thank you. I haven't. No, the AI project is not let go. It's happening. It's that there was a partnership that we released. But it's going. It's gonna. Our first product is gonna get released early January, probably January 2026. So it was a partnership that we were working with for 5 months, 5, 6 months. The AI project is not getting released because I'll know if when God wants me to do something else, I will know at that point. It was a partnership that came, that we released. And so, but the project is going. Our first product will release, but the product is not going to be for consumers. The consumer part of the technology will come later. But what we release for the products, the first product will really be for dietary supplement companies and for practitioners. So just to clarify, I didn't release the project. We released a partnership. Okay. Hi, 8 Joy Sunshine. I love it. I love that. Sunshine Joy. How do you how do you do losing employment and scammed by a friend at the same time? This is what I would say. I don't know if you were here at the beginning, since the beginning, but if you weren't here from the beginning, I would recommend that you go and listen to what I said from the beginning. So this is a great opportunity to say, you know what, God? This is a great blessing in disguise. You are allowing me to release these things. the friend, the employment, all these things, so I can make energetic space to have better things come in, better job, better friendship, better this, better that. So that's why it's that losing it, as you say, losing it or losing that friend is your energetic cleansing. And so thank the Lord, thank God for that. Thank you for this energetic cleansing. Thank you for allowing me to release this. Yeah, being scammed by your friend is not a great feeling because you feel betrayed, right? Because this was your friend. But that's the God's way of saying this is no longer your friend. That this is a sign that you should let this person go, and it's good that you're letting them go because now you've seen the essence of who this person is. So being scammed is not the worst thing in the world. It's just the universe's way of teaching you something and of letting go that relationship. And that you've learned something, right? You've learned. You have more wisdom, you have more experience, and you will do things better. You will have better friendships because you're learning. So say I release my friendship and this employment, this job, knowing that I'm making this energetic spray space and freeing myself up to bring in better friendships, better employment. So that's the way to keep practicing the way you're seeing this, okay? It's actually a blessing in disguise. Kenneth says, when I do manifesting, do I need to talk with myself or just thinking about it? You can do both. If you're like, if you're in the public space and, you probably want to say it more underneath your breath, right? But if you're at home, it's good to say it out loud because if you think it and say it, it's even more powerful. So when you think it and you say it out loud, but if you're at your job and you don't want to disturb the people around you, then you can say it inside and keep thinking it because thoughts are energy. Thoughts are frequencies. So it's powerful. But if you're at home by yourself, then say it out loud. It's even more powerful. Okay? So both are good. Niger says, I learned Chinese spiritual about letting go, specifically Taoism. Yes, that's right. Taoism is incredibly, it's an incredible philosophy. It's an incredible way of living the Tao, the way. That's what it means. Tao means the way. So the way of the universal forces. And how do we align ourselves with the Tao? The more we allow with the Tao, the more we become a creator, better, more powerful creator of our lives. You're welcome. Miracles 888 says, recently I'm practicing telling myself something or someone even better is coming. That is so smart. Say, you know what? I know that this didn't work out for me for my highest and best good, and I know something better is coming. And as soon as I said that, I swear to God, this was like 2 weeks ago, something came in. It was amazing. Miracle V. Sometimes we lose friends without clarity, and it is frustrating too that we didn't give space for an honest conversation. Well, okay, I understand what you're saying. So there are two things that you could do in that situation. If you feel like you didn't give space for honest conversation, you could you could have an honest conversation with yourself and write it down that this is all the things that I want to say to you. And I forgive you. I forgive myself for not giving that honest space and write it down. Write down the things that you want to say, have that honest conversation because energetically it'll be out there. Even though that person might not be there, if you write it down and you acknowledge it and you forgive yourself, you forgive your other friend, then energetically you're clearing that energy. And that's what's most important. So you could do this by yourself. Just write it down. Write it down yourself. You don't have to be there to clear that energy. As long as you have an awareness and you understand the part that you took that you didn't give enough space and you acknowledge that and you say, you know what, I didn't acknowledge that space, but I'm going to do better in the future. And you write down and forgive me for not doing that. And I forgive my friend for whatever the parts that you both played. It's a beautiful thing. So you could clear that energetic space like that. Okay. So just because your friend's not there anymore doesn't mean you can't clear that energetically. You're welcome, Kenneth. You're welcome, Joy Sunshine. It's so great. Okay, so let's just recap about this. When you have nothing, you have everything. When you have nothing, when you have everything. So when you have nothing, it is your greatest opportunity to create, build, innovate, bring in the cooperative components. Why? Because you have this beautiful, energetic, empty space to bring in better people, better situations, better opportunities. Because if that space was filled and clogged up, you wouldn't have space to bring in better people, better situations, better opportunities. So that's the blessing of having nothing. There is no attachment, there is no worry, there is no fear, right? And so from that space, you're completely free. And when you are completely free, that is your most powerful space because then nobody could take you down. You have nothing to lose. You could create, innovate, you can go in any direction. That's why having nothing, that nothingness is the most powerful thing. And so once you shift and you shift the meaning of that nothingness from, oh, this is the worst thing in my life, to, wow, I feel empowered because I'm getting rid of all of this negative energy, low frequency energy, so that I can make that energy. Once you start to shift that perspective that my nothingness is everything for me to manifest, and you start empowering yourself, that you will see how things will start to come in. People, different situations will start to come in. Better people, better situations. But recognizing that that emptiness, that nothingness is your most powerful state of being. That is the secret here, okay? Hi, Kathy Manriquez. Oh, you came in late. I'm about to close the room. So, Kathy, I would recommend that you watch this because I started at 9 a.m. and it's now 9:46, and I have a call at 10 a.m. So I want to take like a 10-minute break, reset my energy for that meeting. So, Kathy, please watch it. I'm so sorry that you missed this session, but please watch the recording. So, when you have nothing, or that is the most powerful state of being to create everything. So let's do a closing prayer. Dear God, angels, spirit guide, ascended masters, divine creator, thank you so much for allowing us to create these sacred space on the topic of when you have nothing, that is when you create everything. I ask you to guide and lead these beautiful souls as they're removing these low frequency energetic relationships or jobs or careers, that they are creating that beautiful space to bring in better people, better situations, better opportunity. Thank you for allowing them to be on their soul's path. Have faith in the process and have faith that as things are removed from their lives, that they are making that clear energetic space to bring in something better. So thank you for allowing us to understand that when we have nothing, that is our ability to create everything. Thank you so much for your continued support, your continued wisdoms, your continued guidance, your continued protection, and most importantly, your unconditional love. And so it is. Namaste. Okay, much love and blessing.